In January 2026, the world was stunned as U.S. troops stormed into Caracas, Venezuela's capital. Donald Trump, in his second term, ordered the full-scale invasion, targeting President Nicolas Maduro. Tensions had simmered for years, but few expected American boots on Venezuelan soil. The U.S. had ramped up military activity in the Caribbean, citing a crackdown on drug trafficking, but the sudden assault shocked global leaders. Over months, U.S. forces attacked Venezuelan vessels, escalating violence and killing over 100 people. Trump's America First doctrine drove the operation, promising to restore U.S. dominance in the Western Hemisphere. Maduro, accused of corruption and human rights abuses, was a convenient target for a show of American strength. The invasion evoked memories of past U.S. interventions in Latin America, reigniting old fears. Trump unveiled the Donroe document, vowing that American influence in the region would never again be challenged. The world braced for a new era of tension across the continent. President Trump justified the invasion as a war on drugs, blaming Venezuela for fueling America's overdose crisis. He painted Maduro's regime as a narco-state, insisting military action was needed to protect American lives. The administration also claimed to be liberating Venezuelans from dictatorship and economic collapse. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth said Maduro refused peaceful exit, leaving invasion as the only option. Trump revived the Monroe Doctrine as the Donroe document, declaring U.S. military dominance in the hemisphere. Yet, Trump's speeches often shifted from drugs to Venezuela's vast oil reserves, raising suspicions about his true motives. He promised American companies would rebuild Venezuela's oil industry, blurring the line between humanitarian aid and economic gain. Critics questioned whether the war on drugs was just a cover for securing oil. The U.S. military's main objective was clear: capture Nicolas Maduro. In a swift raid, American special forces seized Maduro and extradited him to New York to face drug charges. The world watched in disbelief as a sitting president was removed by foreign troops. Trump announced the U.S. would temporarily run Venezuela, promising stability and a future transition to democracy, without a timeline. Central to Trump's plan was reviving Venezuela's oil industry, with American corporations managing production and profits. He bluntly stated it's all about oil, confirming suspicions of economic motives. Secretary of State Marco Rubio argued U.S. control was needed to prevent civil war and chaos. The administration framed the occupation as guardianship, but many saw it as a new colonial relationship. Critics warned the U.S. was seizing Venezuela's resources under the guise of rescue. The world questioned who would truly benefit from this recovery. The U.S. stood in complete command, facing global scrutiny. Despite official claims, many believed oil was the real reason for the invasion. Venezuela's massive oil reserves had long attracted American corporate interest. Reports surfaced of Trump promising oil executives policy influence in exchange for campaign donations. After the invasion, U.S. companies were set to rebuild and run Venezuela's oil sector, raising doubts about who would profit. Trump's candid, "it's all about oil" remark fueled criticism that drugs were just a pretext. The pattern extended to Mexico, another oil-rich nation, as Trump issued veiled threats. The U.S. move also challenged Russian and Chinese interests in Venezuela's oil fields, heightening global tensions. Russia demanded the return of seized Venezuelan assets, risking confrontation between nuclear powers. The invasion was seen as a power play to push out rivals and secure energy dominance. For many, the war on drugs was just a convenient cover for a high-stakes geopolitical and economic gambit. After Venezuela, Trump turned his focus to Mexico, hinting at possible military action. On Fox News, he claimed President Claudia Sheinbaum wasn't in control, alleging drug cartels ran the country. Trump recounted offering U.S. military help to Sheinbaum, portraying her as fearful and ineffective. His comments sparked a diplomatic crisis, undermining a key U.S. ally. The timing suggested the Venezuela invasion was a warning to Mexico. Trump's administration used threats of intervention and trade leverage to pressure Mexico on drug enforcement. Oil again lurked in the background. Mexico's reserves made it a tempting target. Observers saw a pattern target oil-rich nations, accuse leaders of weakness, and threaten intervention. For Latin America, Trump's rhetoric echoed the aggression just witnessed in Venezuela. The region braced for further instability. Latin American leaders swiftly condemned the U.S. invasion of Venezuela as an attack on regional sovereignty. Mexico's President Sheinbaum called it a violation of international law, invoking painful memories of past U.S. interventions. Colombia's President Petro labeled the attack aggression against all of South America, mobilizing troops to manage refugees and offering to mediate. Even countries critical of Maduro opposed the U.S. military action, fearing a dangerous precedent. Brazil's President Lula warned the invasion revived Cold War-era U.S. interference. Cuba's government called the attack cowardly and urged regional vigilance. The backlash united leaders from across the continent, isolating the U.S. in its own hemisphere. Instead of gaining allies, the Trump administration fueled fear and resentment. The diplomatic crisis pushed Latin American nations to consider closer ties with China and Russia. The dream of a peaceful, cooperative hemisphere seemed shattered. The U.S. faced a united front of opposition. Regional trust in American intentions was destroyed. The invasion left the continent more divided and wary than ever. The invasion divided America as deeply as it did the world. Lawmakers from both parties condemned Trump for bypassing Congress and launching war unilaterally. Senator Tim Kaine led efforts to rein in presidential war powers, setting up a showdown with the White House. Democrats demanded answers on the invasion's legality and long-term strategy, fearing a costly, open-ended conflict. Some Republicans worried about regional instability and questioned the focus on oil. Trump's supporters hailed the move as bold leadership, while critics saw imperialism and corporate greed. Protests erupted nationwide, with chants of "No war for oil." Former diplomats warned the U.S. was damaging its global reputation and alienating allies. The country was split. Was this national security or reckless adventurism? The debate over America's role in the world had never been fiercer. The U.S. occupation of Venezuela plunged the hemisphere into uncertainty and risk. Running a nation in crisis would be costly and could spark a fierce insurgency. American troops faced the threat of a drawn-out, bloody conflict. The invasion strained relations with Russia and China, both with stakes in Venezuela's oil. Experts warned China might exploit U.S. distraction to act elsewhere, like Taiwan. Latin American trust in the U.S. was shattered, pushing nations toward China's economic embrace. The region risked becoming a battleground for great power rivalry. Leaders like Sheinbaum, Petro, and Lula formed a united front against further U.S. aggression. Trump's actions set a dangerous precedent: unilateral invasions and resource grabs. The world watched, alarmed as the crisis deepened. The future of U.S.-Latin American relations and global stability hung in the balance. The path ahead looked perilous and uncertain.